The toys are back. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm giving you my review of Toy Story 5, the latest film in the Pixar franchise. I was able to see it early. These are going to be my honest, spoiler-free thoughts. Before I get into this, though, hit that like button. Comment down below your thoughts on Toy Story 5 if you've seen it, as well as your hopes for the film if you have not yet watched it. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified for my future videos with some Pixar content coming out later this week. But when it comes down to it, I was really off-put by Toy Story 5 being announced, whatever that was, a few years back. I thought 3 was the end of this franchise. 4 I thought was fine. Then I rewatched it recently. I was like, this is solid, but it's not the most necessary. And then when it comes to 5, I was put off by the idea. I was like, it's probably a cash grab. But slowly yet surely, the trailers won me over. It seemed like there was some heart. Andrew Stanton coming in to direct the film. Of course, he did Finding Nemo and WALL-E, so he's got some experience with this, Pixar thing. And when it comes down to it, I really enjoyed the film. I think it was a sweet one, and I have a lot of good things to say. I'm going to start with a lot of my pros here first and foremost. I really appreciate how this movie cements Toy Story as a timeless franchise. It's a franchise that debuted back in 1995 with that first film, and since then, now we have 5 movies. Each movie has something new and unique to say that pertains to the current generation of kids. This time around, it's that there's technology in abundance, it's easily accessible, but at the end of the day, nothing is more valuable or important than genuine human connection and friendship. And that's the main message of this film. It's a powerful one at that. I don't have kids, so I can't speak to this, but I imagine parents watching this film and parents who take their kids to watch it will be really hit emotionally, because I'm sure that there's in-house conversations of, well, hey, all my friends, and this kid could be in 2nd, 3rd grade elementary school age, we're talking, and they're like, hey, my friend has a phone, my friend has an iPad. Well, honey, you don't need that yet. You're not old enough. And I feel like parents and kids might even be at odds with each other over technology. But at the end of the day, you got to go out and talk to real human people, make friends in the world. And there was a lot to say about that for sure. There's also kind of a message about how there's a happy medium there, but it's not like the movie just portrayed technology as this evil force the entire runtime. There were some pros, and I think there is a happy medium. So there's a lot of nuance to that conversation that's presented in Toy Story 5. So 5 delivered a relevant, thematically timely story that I appreciated for sure. It has the signature emotions of a Toy Story film. The nostalgia's present with, musical cues, callbacks. That's what you expect with any 5th entry in a franchise, and Toy Story 5 certainly delivers on those. And at this point in a Toy Story movie, you'd certainly hope it knows how to pull on the heartstrings, and yet another Toy Story movie does. I think 2, 3, 4 all have moments very clearly where the audience can tear up. Add 5 to that list, because there's one moment in particular involving Jessie where the audience will be sure to tear up and maybe straight up sob, like depending on your connection to the moment. It is one of those Pixar, we're going to make you cry moments, and there's no getting around it. So if you haven't seen the movie, brace yourselves with those tissues. Each movie in the franchise has its own unique way of showing the kids' POV when they're playing with the toys, and here we get these gorgeous painting-like animation sequences that show what Bonnie envisions when she's playing with all the toys. Standout animation in Pixar for me. Now, much like how Toy Story 4 is Woody's story, sort of a nice little epilogue for him and his life post-Andy, where he goes on this journey of self-discovery and realizes there's this whole life out there, making sure Andy had a safe childhood and grew up with that comfort toy, that's gone. So he's got his own life to explore. That's how Toy Story 5 is for Jessie, in a sense. She is alone, isolated from the group for some of this film, and so it's kind of like the Jessie story. So much so that that does lose some of the group dynamic. I'll get into that as I get into some more mixed bag elements with the movie, but Jessie is the focus. She's at the forefront of this film. So if you're a fan of Jessie, you're gonna eat. If you don't care about Jessie as much, it might be harder for you to get as invested in the story, but she is catapulted to main character of the film. She is obviously now sort of the head honcho toy at Bonnie's house because Woody's no longer around. She's the sheriff, one could say. And so her and Buzz are the 2 top dogs, but Jessie's really taking the leadership role. And you see that early on in the movie, and you understand why she does what she does here and goes on this journey in the film. And that kind of does transition into some of my issues with the movie. They're not huge issues, but it is a Toy Story film, and you do hope that you get a lot of those group dynamic moments that are present in the first 3 films. And much like with 4, I feel like this is lacking those, especially with the classic toys, the Rexes, the Hams, the Potato Heads. You don't get as much of them. There's a lot of new supporting side characters, one of them voiced by Conan, named Smarty Pants, and Jessie encounters this new batch of toys at a location she ends up at. I don't want to say too much about plot details. I want to leave that a surprise, but there are new side characters scattered all throughout this film. I get with each film, you want to evolve, you want to adapt to the times, but I do miss some of that classic group dynamic. We get it here and there, but I do feel like it's missing a bunch. Now, with Jesse taking the lead, that means Woody and Buzz have a reduced role in the story. Obviously still very important and critical, but I do wonder how that will land with a lot of people where they view Woody and Buzz as the two main leads of this franchise. It might not land with some people, it might not resonate as heavily because of that. I still think what they do with both the characters is important, especially Buzz. There's a compelling arc for him and his relationship with Jesse. I found it to be humorous, but also heartfelt. And then Woody is obviously much older now, and I think it's hilarious how the movie plays into that. As you can see in the trailer, they added like a little bald spot on the back of his head, and he's getting up there. There's a whole moment in the film where he does a couple things, and it's like, man, Woody's been around the block. Woody's unk, you could say. And so I really admired what they did with that, comedically speaking. And I think the humor, in the movie as a whole was effective. There were some really hearty laughs from the audience, moments that got people belly laughing. I wasn't quite there, but I thought the movie really used humor well. Kind of a mixed element for the film as well for me, though, would be there's a subplot, and it's literally like the opening of the movie, and then it pops up every few minutes. Ultimately, it culminates to something important, and it serves a purpose. But for a lot of the movie, I was scratching my head going, what on earth are we doing here? Is this going to actually play in anything? It was kind of like if you were watching a Pixar short film that was cut up and spread out throughout a Toy Story movie. Ultimately, it does matter. I'm telling you that right now. So if you haven't seen the movie and you're watching this review, it will matter. But it was almost like wacky and just wild. Like the opening of this movie, I was like, is this the right film? I was so taken aback by it in a good way. And then I kind of just bought into the absurdity of it, as it made for some really hilarious moments and jokes later on. So Toy Story 5 did its job for a new generation. It told a really heartfelt story with Bonnie looking for a real friend, longing for human connection. Technology is kind of interfering with that, but at the same time, are there pros and cons to it? Certainly. It's a very complex conversation that this movie presents about technology with kids today. It presented struggles from a parenting standpoint, from a child standpoint of growing up in this new era. Fascinating conversations were had with this film, so it justified its existence. It's not like this was an unnecessary movie. It had a lot of important things to say. At the same time, it is more of a Jesse story, so if you're not as big of a Jesse fan, or if you didn't care for Toy Story 4 because you felt it was just all about Woody, this might not be up your alley as much. I can comfortably say this movie does not reach the heights of Toy Story 1, 2, or 3, and I'm comfortable saying no animated film probably ever will again. I think those are three of the greatest animated movies ever, one of the best just film trilogies in general. So 4 and 5 don't reach the heights of that, but if I take a step back and I view them as their own like one-off stories in the Toy Story world, I am more pleased. It's like with any franchise where there's this gold standard, Star Wars, the original trilogy, Lord of the Rings, you're never going to make anything in that universe as good as that. Is it fair to then tear down projects that can't reach that height? I mean, I don't know. Is it? It's an interesting conversation to have. I don't think so, but I still appreciate that we can get these stories for new generations, with Toy Story 5 being one of them. At the end of the day, this movie's growing on me the more I sit with it. I think I would give it the edge over Toy Story 4. Stay tuned for my full ranking of those films coming later this week. But it's an emotionally resonant film about the importance of friendship and staying true to yourself. It's a pretty beautiful movie. It'll get you going if you're a Pixar fan. You might just cry. It's a sweet one. I'd go 4 out of 5 with it. But Toy Story fans will be pleased with this one, and I just enjoyed myself watching it, all right? I'm hoping to see it again. Who knows how it'll end up happening or not. But have you guys seen Toy Story 5? If so, let me know down below. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and be on the lookout for lots of Pixar videos coming this week here on YouTube, but also on TikTok and Instagram. Follow me there at FilmStocked. Thank you guys, as always, for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.